In 1972, Walter Mischel and Stanford universities would complete one of the most famous psychology studies that would reveal what is now recognized as the most accurate predictor of future success in your health, work, and general life statistics. They would complete several studies over the years, and in the end, they collected data from hundreds of participants throughout these studies. Their target participant was between the ages of 4 to 5. Here's the premise. They would have them in a private room, sitting in front of a table on a chair. Across from them would be the researcher, and in the table in front of him, there would lay a marshmallow. Now, the researcher tried to strike a deal. They told the kids, I'm gonna be leaving the room. If you leave the marshmallow here and don't eat it yet, then I'll bring back another marshmallow and you can have them both. Or you can go ahead and eat it now. And so the kids had a dilemma. Do they take the marshmallow now or do they take two later? And so here's what happened. Some ate the marshmallow right away. They didn't even consider the potential gains. You know, they might have heard it very clearly, directly, but they just figured, I'll take the marshmallow now. It's worth it. Some saw the benefit in waiting. They tried to hold it in. They squirmed around in their chair for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but they ended up eating the marshmallow, taking a bite, and then they realized, man, this is too good. I'm just gonna eat the rest. A few of the children managed to wait the entire time, and it wasn't an hour or two, it was only 15 minutes that the researcher was gone. And so these children, of course, were rewarded with the second marshmallow. Now, what made this study interesting wasn't the immediate results that they found, but what they found in the decades following these kids, specifically how much different the lives were between those who could wait for the second marshmallow and those who couldn't. They tested the future kids for a variety of topics. They found that those who were able to wait for the second marshmallow exceeded their peers in almost every life category. This would include higher SAT scores, lower chances of substance abuse, lower chances of obesity, better responses to stress, better social skills, and generally a better score in a range of different life categories. And so the key factor was how well could the kids and the future kids delay their gratification. And it was shown since birth and it carried on throughout their life. In this video, we're gonna talk about what determines your current ability to delay gratification and how you can actually become better at delaying that gratification. Really quickly, if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Aron Zapatero. I'm a 20-year-old entrepreneur, and last year I averaged just over $50,000 per month net. I'm here to share some business principles that I've learned and hopefully guide some of you along the way. What determines our ability to delay gratification? And this mainly boils down to two things. Do we truly believe that the future reward is there? And do we have the discipline to wait for that reward if it is true? And so the answer to the first question was actually completed in a follow-up study. They replicated everything about the original marshmallow test, but they differed it just a little bit. They split the kids up into two groups. One group had unreliable experiences and the other had reliable experiences. Group A and Group B. In Group A, before the marshmallow was out and the marshmallow deal was presented, the kids were given a small box of crayons. The researcher said that they were going to leave the room and come back with a bigger box of crayons. But when the researcher came back, they didn't have the bigger box of crayons as promised. And then again, they gave the kids a small sticker. They said, I'm gonna leave the room. When I come back, I'll bring you a bigger sticker. Of course, the kids get excited, but when the researcher comes back, they don't have the bigger sticker. And so they called this group the unreliable experiences group, in which the kids were made promises that weren't held true. Now in Group B, they had the same promises made to them, but this time the researchers kept their promise. They brought back the bigger sticker, and so they called this group, Group B, the reliable experiences, in which the researcher actually fulfilled their promise. So now what do you think happens when they're presented with the marshmallow deal? Well, it goes back to the first thing that determines our ability to delay gratification. Do we believe that there's truly a reward at the end? And so if we look at Group A, maybe some of them did have the discipline to wait for that long-term gain, but they didn't even believe, and they couldn't be sure if the reward was actually there. And when you look at Group B, they were pretty confident based off past experiences that the reward was really out there. And so what we can get from this is that if we truly believe that delaying gratification, pushing off the short-term pleasures, putting ourselves in uncomfortable moments, if we truly believe that will give us long-term gain, then we're already halfway towards being able to delay our gratification more. And so I like to think about it like this. If we were offered to sign a contract that said, I'm not gonna make money for 5 years, but at the end of the 5 years, I'm gonna have a business that's worth $1 million. Would we sign that contract? If we were guaranteed to have $1 million business at the end, but in between now and then we wouldn't make that much money, would we sign it? And you can make this $1 million, $10 million, the concept, the principle is still there. And so I think the answer for a lot of us is yes, we would sign it if we had that guaranteed success. But I can guarantee you this, if you learn sales for 5 years, along with simple business principles, you could have a sales business. You can do high ticket sales and have $1 million business at the the end of 5 years. But the downside is that people don't want to give up those 5 years of not making that much money. And I think most of us would agree that if we stuck 5 years with one thing and stopped switching around from thing to thing, from side hustle to side hustle, then we could actually make $1 million if we put all our focus and all our energy into something, regardless of the results that we saw right away. But we focus on the process. And at the end of the 5 years, we become so high value and so skilled that we can easily generate $1 million business. I think most of us understand this. If we understand that it's worth waiting, then the only thing that stands between us and $1 million business is our discipline and our ability to delay gratification. How do we become better at delaying gratification? The answer is simple, and it's so simple that you guys might not like it. We need to train to improve our focus, train to improve our discipline, train to improve our ability to delay gratification. We need to have a growth mindset, understand that our current baseline of our ability to delay gratification is not set, and this can increase with the proper training. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, gives 2 practical points for doing this. The first one is start small. If you're walking by a bowl of candy, don't pick it up and eat it. That's delaying gratification for a future, healthier you. Don't eat the snack just because you're bored. That's just feeding on instant gratification and dopamine, but it doesn't benefit the future you. Don't check your phone when you have nothing to do, just to waste time. That's destroying your dopamine centers. Every time you're receiving a low level of dopamine, you just automatically feed it by looking at your phone. This destroys your ability to focus. So these are small things. Don't eat the candy. Don't look at your phone all the time. Don't look at those videos that you shouldn't. Don't skip the gym when you don't feel like it. These are all small things that we can do in our daily lives that would train us slowly to build up our ability to delay gratification for a future, better, more successful us. The second point that he gives us is to improve by 1%. And so these are small things, but they compound over time. So yes, eating candy isn't going to get you the discipline that you need to build a business and stick with it for 5 years. But the goal is to get 1% better. And if we start somewhere, then we can improve on that. And we improve and get 1% better every day. Once we understand that we don't have a set level of our ability to delay gratification, then it's time to make the contract with yourself. I'm going to delay gratification, not for a small period of time, but for years, for decades. And at the end of it, I'm going to reap the success of everyone else that was unwilling to put the time in and have the discipline to stick with it. Peace.